Yo everybody, what's going on? This is Keegan from Kman Reviews. If you enjoyed this review, make sure you hit that like and the subscribe button, and if you have any opinions at all you would like to share, leave them down in the comment section. One Desire, Midnight Empire. One Desire are a Finnish band led by singer, guitarist Andre Lindman, originally of Sturmund fame. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Currently, that band is on hiatus, and Lindman got brought into this band, to which they released a self-titled album back in 2017. But now, we're talking about their sophomore album, Midnight Empire. And again, I gotta give thanks to a viewer for suggesting this new band for me to check out. Apparently they're inspired by 80s hair metal stuff, but with some dashes of pop as well. So how is this album? Let's find out as I review it track by track. We'll start off with the singles, with there being 3 of them. The first one being After You're Gone, which completely blindsided me for a second because I heard Andre's voice for the first part of the track, and it sounded practically the exact same as Jacob Hogarth from Headley. Later on in the track, the vocals show their true colors, being an extremely poppy voice for such an instrumental. Speaking of instrumental, it's pretty solid, and the production as a whole is so clean, so well produced and elegant, with these drums that are very prominent in the guitar playing, and especially the solo on the closing moments. Despite it being the 5.5 minute track that it is, it's concise and it's a tight package, and I enjoy it. Good song. The second single and the album opener, Shadow Man, which opens up with this 30-second little opening monologue, and then the 6-minute track comes roaring in. It's much heavier than the previous track on practically every front, but mainly in the chugging, rough guitar riff and Andre's vocals leading and embracing the more rock sound. There is some nice keyboard and falsetto work to keep the track from getting a bit repetitive, but it does kind of fall into that vein regardless. Even that little instrumental cut halfway through the track that might have led to something interesting brings us into a guitar solo followed by another slight conversational monologue. It's trying to be this concept, kind of like some later Styx album or something. In fact, that's the voice I kind of get out of this track. And as a whole, it's a little bit of an unsatisfying opener. I'll pass here. And the third and final single, Heroes, opens up like some sort of video game trailer with this ambience and the light guitar plex. The instrumental kicks in a bit later and has a very traditional melodic metal style. I almost swear I've heard this exact same melody somewhere before. Andre's vocals, yet again, very clear. I get a lot of Adam Lambert vibes off of this track in particular, if he decided to go metal. That chorus is really catchy as well, definitely like some Iron Maiden with the higher pitched yells. Also, another guitar solo, massive points for that. And lyrically, it's just about becoming the hero when all the other heroes go away. Not too bad of a singles run. Let's see how the rest of the album compares. And now for the rest of the tracks. Down and Dirty takes a complete left turn on the opening notes, with a spare piano melody, guitar work, and a drum machine, definitely embracing the pop element the band described. And it's not just a short introduction, it's a minute long, but then the true instrumental kicks in. It's still a little bit poppy. There's some shimmering synth work, and Andre sounds like he's ready to hop on a new pop EDM track. I'm telling you, his voice is extremely off-putting if you're not open-minded. Lyrically, it's a relationship cut, wanting to get into the thick of it, down and dirty, as he called it. Meh, it's a fine song, not too noteworthy though. Godsent Ecstasy is probably my favorite track here. I've been listening to this one in constant rotation ever since I heard the album for the first time. This main guitar melody sounds almost identical to Elton John's Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting. Definitely a lot more of a pop rock style as a whole, but with grittier guitars, and Andre singing over this track may just be one of the best moments on this entire album. It's one of the most accessible tracks on the record as he sings about this partner just being this godsend. Wonderful keyboard work as well, along with a guitar solo, an album standout. Check this one out. Through the Fire is a full 6 minutes and 49 seconds of a very mellow, mostly acoustic rock song, and honestly it's a little bit much for me. While it's not bad on paper, but this length absolutely drags the track on, and the instrumental pickups that are scattered throughout the track, they feel like they should be a build-up to something grander, but they all just kind of fizzle out back to the same light piano and guitar picking. It was actually a little bit hard to sit through this for all the repeated listens, and in all honesty, I don't want to hear this song again in its entirety. There are parts here that are nice, but the overall execution is kind of shoddy. Pass. Rio is basically the main ballad, and this is how One Desire should handle slower tracks. That keyboard and piano playing are surprisingly melancholic. The drum work that kicks in after the first chorus keeps the listener engaged and invested. And God, that chorus is gorgeous. Andre is so passionate over this track as he sings about always being by this girl's side no matter what. Maybe it is a little bit of cheese metal, very cliche, but goddamn does it work. And especially with a guitar solo on that bridge, it's a beautiful moment on this album. And even though it's close to 5 minutes long, again, I'm invested and I'm captivated the whole way through. Beautiful song. Battlefield of Love is another track that I get a lot more of an overall poppy feel, especially with this main melody that I know I've heard somewhere before, but I just can't pinpoint exactly where. Yet again, I really have to commend the production of this album, and on this track especially. Everything sounds lively and is at the forefront, but it's not directly in your face. There are some chippy synths, piano playing, and Andre carries this track beautifully with his vocals. I'm telling you, this guy's a force to look out for in the modern metal scene. Lyrically, it's about a relationship that tends to have a lot of arguments, fighting on the battlefield of love. This is how you make a longer song fun and interesting. Worth a listen. Killer Queen stylized with an exclamation point for the L, which I thought was going to be a Queen cover of the track Killer Queen, but that didn't happen. Instead, it's almost a little bit of a filler track. At least that's what I get out of it. There's a lot of repeated lines, doesn't really feel like a lot of effort was thrown into the songwriting, even though Andre's still trying to sell it vocally regardless, and the instrumental is still solid. But the track as a whole kind of lacks substance and flavor. Lyrically, I mean, it's really just about this girl, or queen as the title would suggest, being his everything. While the guitar solo here is pretty damn solid, it's not enough to resurrect the track. I can pass on this one. And finally, the closer, Only When I Breathe, is a full 5-minute long, grand, emotional ballad to end off this album, and it certainly holds pretty strong. Andre is really the star of the show here, and his fiery vocals gracing the track, alongside the light piano playing and calm acoustic guitar chords. It surprisingly doesn't wear itself thin, even though there's really no build-up anywhere on the track, and the guitar solo almost has a Latin tinge to it. Lyrically, it's about this crumbling relationship and how it only hurts when he breathes. Yet again, fairly cliche, but it's still effective regardless. Great song, great closer. Overall, this One Desire album was pretty solid in my opinion. If you've got a hankering for some cheesy metal from the 80s with a pop twist, then this will definitely scratch that itch for you way more than it did for me. But there were still some solid melodies, hooks, and instrumentals for me to enjoy this more so than not, so I'm feeling a 6.5 out of 10 on this album. Well guys, hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.